have to be able to work with a dowel in a hanging position is to tape.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be pencils, but just tape something to the table, and then you can tape your dowel to that, and it gives you just enough play so that you can work your knots. I have this lady on in the background. I just like how simple she kept it. And you know, I tell y'all all the time, if it's something that I'm showing you and you can learn it from YouTube, because these knots I learned from just sitting at the desk
Okay.
watching YouTube. Some people don't explain really good, or their hands are going too fast. Some people take it really slow. It's almost like the paper is moving for you, what you see, the directions in the paper. But I'm a visual learner, so I look at the paper, but I need to see somebody doing it. So this lady, Majestic Macramé, was one of the ones that I really liked the way she did it.
Okay.
So I am going to start with the 4 things that we are going to learn today are going to be a lark's head knot. I wish I could tell you lots of things about the rope, about the string and the dowels and all of that. I think that is, those things will be just based on what it is that you want to do, because you know, you see where people have hanging pieces and they may have driftwood that they've connected string to. Depending on the look that you want, the thickness of your string is going to change. So you might want something even thinner than this, all the way up to like ropes that you would think of people using on a boat. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys, I don't have all of that kind of information. I delve deep enough to show you the basic knots, and then if it's something that you really want to get into, we do have books. The library system has books that you can check out. I'm sure that there are videos that you can check out. But YouTube is the bomb. So I'm going to show you the lark's head knot, a square knot pattern, and depending on who you're listening to, they will either say connecting squares or square knot pattern. A half square, what is this? A half square knot, which is this one, and it's, or you might hear them say a twisting knot or a twisting square or twirling square. So that's what this one is. And then a half hitch knot, which you will also hear as a twirling half knot. You'll hear hitch knot. You'll hear different, depending on who the YouTuber is or the macrame is. You'll hear different ways of doing that. And then let me go in here because it's going to make a difference when we get ready to get into some of the knots about what's in your bag. And I tried to label them. So what you have in your bag is one that is labeled half hitch twist. You have one that says twist and square. You have a square knot. And then you have connecting square. And then there's a number on each one of those pieces of tape. So, and what I wrote was how many yards I cut for each one of those. So the half hitch twist is 3 feet, or yeah, 3 yards. 3 yards, I'm sorry. The twist and square was a yard. The square knot was a yard. And the connecting square was each one of those is a yard. Okay, so that's that. Oh, and I know you're probably wondering why you have a comb inside your bag. Some of the projects, when you get all the way to the end and you finish and you've done your finishing knots and all of that, you'll have quite a bit of rope left over, depending on what it is the designer wanted you to do, or if you're making one of those feathers or other little ornaments. What they'll have you do is when you get to the end, There are brushes and combs that are professional, and so they'll have you to comb out the end so that you get that little frayed look. For the purposes of this, because what you have is enough to practice with, is not enough to make a project. You have just enough so that you can practice, because you can keep taking it down. But what I noticed is that the more you work with it, the more the ends fray. So I was like, oh man, their string is gonna undo. So I did the ends of the ones that I was working on with tape. I was like, that is not gonna work for you guys, and it wasn't gonna work for me to go through the bags and tape all of those ends. So I came up with just dipping them in melted wax, just to keep the ends from fraying. So if you want to keep practicing with the strings you have, that's why you have the wax on the end of it, just so that it doesn't fray. All right, so now let's get to our knots, and I'm going to try to do this lark's head knot from the front of the table so you can see it. So with the lark's head knot, you want your pieces to be even, and then the close this looped end is gonna go over your post or over your dowel, and then you're gonna bring the two ends through. And did I just do that backwards? No, I did it right. Okay. And then you kind of pull it taut. If you get it twisted and you do it the other way, no fear. It's just called a cow. What is it? It was cow hitch. Cow hitch. Yeah, cow hitch. I don't think it makes a huge difference with the way you're knotting. I think it just makes a difference with how the finished piece is going to look. And if you're using more than one piece of rope, you do want them all to be facing the same direction. So if you're doing lark's head and not cow hitch, make sure that you do all of them the same way. So that was that. That's what you start with, is you tie your ropes on with the lark's head knot. And then, so the first one we are going to do is a square knot, and again, I'm going to try to do this from the front of the table like I'm a professional. And then if you feel like you need help with pulling your thing through, let me know. And you do want to make sure that your ends are as even as you can get them. Yep, so go on. Yep, over the top of it. Yep, and bring your loop under the bottom. No, wait, you did the cow hitch. So if you were working on that side of the table, okay, fine. So you want to bring your loop. So pull it out, and you want to come the other way. You want to come over. Under, yeah, and that's fully through. And then you want to put two of those on. So we're gonna alternate the way we do this. I know sometimes people are left-handed, and so your dominant hand wants to start on that side, and I think that's fine. The point is that when you are doing a square knot, that you are alternating the correct way. Because if you continue in one direction, if you continue using the one side, you're going to end up with something that is not quite a square knot, and we'll get to that later. But so I am going to start on the left, even though I'm right-handed. So I'm going to take this top one, and you're bringing it across so that it looks like a 4. But that last one, you want that to go under there. So it's going to go over 2 and under 1. And then this last one is going to go underneath those two, and through that 4 that you just made, the opening of that 4. So now, this is what I have so far. Did that make sense? Do I need to do it again?
I didn't see. I couldn't see.
Okay, let me go. Okay, I'm starting with my left one. So I've got the 4 strings, and it probably is easier to explain it this way. I'm going to come across these 2, but under the last one. And then with that last one, I'm going to go under those 2 and through that loop that was made. So that's what I have. And what I noticed is, when you're starting to pull your knot taut, you're going up to the top, watch your center 2, that they don't end up twisted. You want to make sure that everybody is straight. So that's half of my square knot. I've just pulled that all the way to the top. And then let me know when you guys get to the top of yours. So I started on for me, I started to the left. So now to finish the square, I'm going to go to the right.
Verse 4.
And I'm going to go under those 2 and over that last one. And then that last one. Did I do that right? Yes. No.
No. Should be.
Yeah, let me turn the other way. So I'm going to go over the 2 and under the last one. That last one is going under those 2 and through that loop. And then I'm just going to work my string up, making sure that those center 2 stay straight. And I'm pulling it taut. And then you've made your first square knot.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna
still
come
have
and see.
2 pieces hanging, so I did something wrong.
No, you don't. You didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so you started on the left? Okay, so this time, let's start on the right. Over those. And then do that one. And then under that.
Oh, okay.
It looks like you did a different pattern.
Okay, go ahead.
There's math that goes into it. If you're making a real project, you really need to know how long your cord is, because you have to make the adjustment for the fact that you're going to have working cords and resting cords. So, yeah. So if you want to do it a couple more times so that you get the feel for it,
And the resting cords are longer
yes.
and the working cords get shorter.
Say it again.
You start on the left the next time, right?
Right.
And you go over and under.
Under. And then your other one goes under
Under the 2
and through that loop that you would make. So
and through this loop.
through that loop, yeah. No, not over the top, under it.
Under it.
You caught onto the crochet really fast too, though.
So you go over the 2 and under
And
the
under the
1.
one as a hanging thing. But then as you go on, like I said, those little racks that you can get from IKEA for like $10. You could probably get them from Family Dollar too. And they don't cost that much if you wanted to really get into it.
You had a crocheting class?
Mm-hmm. This was before shutdown.
Okay.
Okay. So did you do your right side already?
Right.
Okay. So now you're starting on the left.
Left.
Over.
You still go over.
And under. No.
Go under them.
Under, yeah. And over. And then over.
Okay. It starts to make a thing across.
Yeah. And see, that's what I was saying, yeah, I don't macrame, so this was me just sitting at the desk.
Okay.
And then I said, you know what, I couldn't teach you how to make a flower holder, a pot holder, but I could show you the basic stuff. But there is a lady that has a really simple, pot holder on here, and of course I didn't write her name down because I was watching so many of these videos. But she did a really easy one, and she used a, you can get them at Michael's and Joann's, just a wooden circle.
Okay.
But she said you can also get just a metal ring and do the same thing. And she hung it on a 3M hook on her wall and worked from it from that. But there are really simple,
Simple way to
Yeah.
do it. Okay.
yeah.
Now just say the left to the right, to the left. Just say it, and let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
Over the two,
Over the two, and
under the one.
and then take your other one,
This one?
Mhm.
Oh, this
under
one.
the two,
Under the two, okay. And then,
and through the loop,
and through the loop. Under or over?
from the underside.
Okay. Okay. Over, under, and through. I think I can get it. You saying it. Over, under.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Because you can get into such a rhythm,
Yeah.
and somebody says something, or you get distracted, and you come back, and now you don't remember which side. So you might even, if you had like a penny or something, and you got about to get up to move and do something, maybe go to the restroom or whatever, put the penny down on the side that you last lived with.
That's a good idea. Make it four.
So yeah, I'm gonna finish this one.
Over, under.
It's not quite second nature yet, like,
No.
like crocheting.
Yep, and I think it is muscle memory. Just like knitting or crocheting, the more you do it, it'll become second nature to you. And then as you slide that part that you're working with in the middle, as you slide it up, you'll start to see that it actually looks like something. Sewing room looks crazy. I got so much stuff going on in there. So you are going to attach under my two through that loop. So that's a half square knot.
Do it again.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't-
Nope, it's fine.
I heard you, but I didn't follow along.
Okay, so I'm taking my left, my furthest left, I'm going over the two of the middle and under that fourth one.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, now it looks like a number 4 almost. And then I'm going to take that last one, go under those two and through the opening of that 4.
So this is the same one you were doing before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's the exact same thing that we did before. Only this time, is that better if I sit down lower? Okay. So before, when we were making the square, we were making a full square. The next step would be to go to the right and do it the same way. This time, we're not going to do that. This time, we're going to do the same thing again. Over the two, under the one, under the two, through the loop. We're going to do the exact steps that we just did with that last one. And don't forget to keep your center two straight.
So you're repeating it on the same side over.
Yep.
So what's this one called?
This one is going to be a twisting square.
Square.
Yeah.
Oh,
Over the
Okay.
two.
So And instead of bringing it all the way, you know what? Drop it over the two under that. And then you bring this one under those two.
And through
that
I
loop.
wonder what a loop was. I need to make 4, okay.
Yeah. I think that helps if you
It does.
don't drop it over flat. Do that when you're dropping it over and it's gonna look like a 4. And you're gonna keep working from that same side. You're not gonna alternate this time.
Okay, so the first one you were doing was this one.
Yes.
That was, what's it called?
This is a square knot.
So it
And this is,
This is gonna start twisting.
this is a twisted knot. This is the one
The
we're doing
thing
now.
is that with the twisting, you want to make sure, particularly if you get one of those things or you got a long table that you're working on, you want to make sure that you are starting with that same one over and over. So a hack for me, in my mind, a hack for that would be to maybe towards the bottom of that leader, put a piece of, use a Sharpie or something and put some color there so you know that that is your leader. That's the one you're gonna continue to lead with every single step until you're finished with your whole twisting knot, your whole twisting, whatever it would be called.
So when you start, that end should always be longer than the others, because that's the one you're gonna be using all.
Well, these are gonna end up being longer. The one that you are working with is gonna be the one that's gonna get short.
Yeah, so you need to start with a longer end on that side.
Yes. And that's why I said, I think with this, I tried to look at the math for it, and I was like, you know what? It's gonna vary depending on what size rope you use, you know, how long you want the finished piece to be. All of those things are gonna. So if you just keep, and I should have bought the Sharpies down and colored one of mine so I could show it that way. But eventually you come to the point where you're gonna notice, and I'm noticing on this one, so I have done 1, 2, 3, I've got 4, I've done it 4 times. On this 5th one, I can feel how it's starting to twist.
Yeah, it takes it up.
It was at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It'll lay flat anymore.
And then you can give it just a real small twist, and you can see how it starts to do that. And I thought that was really pretty. It was like, if you don't know how to do anything else, you can make a really pretty hanger like that. Okay, so then next, I will do the connecting 4. This one, you know, initially I thought, oh, this is easy, I could do this. It wasn't quite as intuitive a thing. It wasn't done the way I thought it was going to be done. So, now why did I not have enough? Let me show
It's not this one?
you. No, this is the real long one. Another 1 yard. So for this one, you want the, yep, it has 4 pieces. So you're gonna Lark's head knot all 4 of it. Slide your one over to the side, and then you're gonna take your, so you got 4 1 yard, pieces on there, and you wanna put all 4 of those.
When you're down
Yeah,
at one time.
yeah. I think it slipped down a little.
A little tight. So that's gonna be this one we're gonna do now?
Yes,
Put all 4 in there.
That's
yep,
pretty.
yep, all 4.
And you do the same Lark's knot.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna have to use your little fingers to pull it through.
handy sometimes.
Yes.
You can always go to YouTube if you forget how to do it.
Yep. And like I said, that majestic macrame, she's an English lady, but she doesn't slow. And you can see what her hands are doing. So I liked her. And there was another lady that didn't talk, but I can't remember her name. And she was the same way. She did it very slow. And you could actually see what her hands were doing.
Okay.
And she did it slow enough so that you could see. And that's why I was like that 4. Dropping it so that it makes that 4 will you won't forget your
really
loop.
helps too.
Yes.
You were saying loop, and I'm like, I want loop. When I made the 4, and I saw exactly what you were talking about. So that helps too.
Yeah.
Make the 4.
So now you've got all of these strings.
Okay.
Let me pull up a chair. I wish we had a little stool down here. Oh, I'm sorry, did I hit you?
No, you hit the thing and back door.
Okay, so now you've got 2, 4, 6, 8. You've got 8 strings hanging down. And initially I thought, oh, this is going to be hard to remember this, but it won't be. So you're going to take, you've got 4, and for, you know what, and just for fun, well, no, let's do it right. I was going to say for fun, let's start the way I saw another lady do
You
it.
want us to do the Lark here?
Yeah, Lark's here for all 4 of
them.
them. Yeah, Lark's here for all
So
4.
yours nice tight. I didn't do the Lark here.
You're going to do them separate though, Tam. Put
Oh,
each one on separate.
okay.
Because you want to have those 8 bumps at the top, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like you're working with 8 pieces of string.
It's good tape. It's staying on. We're gonna wait for her to catch up. I'm gonna turn it off.
With different macrameers, and it depends on what pattern they're trying to have you do. Because I watched one where they didn't do it quite the way she did it, but we're gonna do it the way she's doing it because it makes a nice little pattern on the outside too. So, starting with your first 4, the same way we've already been doing, you're gonna make a square knot. So you're gonna, for me, starting on my left, over my 2, under my last one, under my 2, and through my loop. And remembering to keep the center ones straight.
Under your 2 or under your 3?
2,
Okay.
because you're gonna go under 2 and over the 1, under the,
Okay, I've got too many. I'm sorry. Get confused over here. Okay, over the 2.
No, you're working with 4.
Under the 2 and through the.
yep, don't forget you're gonna have a 4, Tam.
Okay. I got it. I had 5 pieces of string. Got confused like that.
So just make 1 full square on those first 4.
Square.
And then I'm just gonna go ahead and do this one. So this is my other side, starting at the left. Do you guys want some water? I just realized, is it me? I'm so hot. And I know it's because I got 2 sweaters, but I got a hole in the sleeve of my arm and didn't realize it until I had gotten fully dressed. But you guys have water, okay. Let me know if you need a refill.
Okay.
Because to me, it's just really warm down here.
So we do this Same thing on the other side?
Yep, you're gonna do the same thing with the other one, so that you have a square knot on both sets of,
Am I doing right?
of it, on all of them, and then start your full squares when you start connecting them. I just think, I kind of like the way hers look. The other ones didn't look bad, I just like the fullness of it was more appealing to me. So I don't think one way is better than the other, it's just that the way she did it appealed to me.
Okay.
Start. All right, so now you're gonna,
Okay, so we've completed the square knot on this set, square knot on that set. So now I'm gonna take those two off, and work with just the ones in the middle.
that makes sense. So we're working with force.
And then, when you are starting your first one, you are deciding where you want that first one to rest. Do you want it down, or do you want it up? And it's just gonna depend on what it is you're making. So I'll just repeat what I did over here. I did it again, Alex. Okay. And then making sure that these center two
Straight.
are straight. So now I've connected them in the middle. Now I'm gonna go to the left,
4.
and I'm gonna stop a little below this one so that I can actually see it.
So you're not tightening it all the way up.
Yeah. And I'll get that side. Then take these.
So you do a full square on each side.
Yep.
Full square in the middle, full square on each side. Nice.
So now I have full squares, a full square, full squares. And see, you guys can see how even this one, you were saying that your one didn't look right, but you can see how even this one, I think sometimes it's just, I think as you practice, you go on and on, you're able to make them look a lot neater. But I think it's just working with it and adjusting the knot.
The tension, yeah, the
Yeah.
tension in the knot.
Yep. And so that's basically what you're gonna do. You're gonna do your center 4, and then you're gonna go over and take the outer 4, then the outer 4, then back to the center 4, then outer 4, outer 4. And you're just repeating that over and over.
What would this one be used for?
It looks like they use it for wall hangings. Although, I'm thinking if you had a little heavier gauge string, I could see how if you had a large flower pot, you know, this would be the part that you would work around where your pot is gonna be, so that you're showcasing those connecting squares around the pot, if you had a simple pot.
Should this be the decoration around the pot and it's holding it?
Yes.
All right, nice.
So if you want to turn her on again, Alex, just so they can, maybe if you hear her voice, in the background while you do it. More than 2 lines.
Okay.
I got used to working with 4. There's something very balanced about working with more than 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, I'm gonna scoop these over. And the last one we're gonna do is the half hitch. The twist and half hitch. So you got that one left. And I think this one was, I think I put 3 yards in this. I think I did. I can't remember now.
Let me see, yes.
3, yes. So I cut 3 yards of it. So you're gonna do Lark's head with this one as well.
It's a long.
Yeah. And you're gonna see why, because it became oddly satisfying to do this one, and I ran out of a liter really fast with the shorter cord. I was like, oh man, I really kind of like that one.
Yeah. Because you're only going on one side, website, so that one will run out really fast.
Exactly. And then I'm gonna let you, while you or after you get that on, or what you do, I want you to see her do, because she does it across the,
And what we're going to do is just tie a half hitch knot. So
and you see how she's doing it. Oh, let me pause it.
over the right and through,
Lark's head
and
needs
just going to keep repeating the exact same thing over and over. So over it.
And that's basically what she did. So remember how when we were doing we did the square knot, but then when we were doing the twist and square knot, we always worked the same direction. It's the same thing with this one. Because the very last one that she does, she did this half hitch, but she did it the way we alternated to make the square.
Right.
I just thought that the twist was really pretty, and I thought if you were actually doing a pattern, something that you were maybe making up yourself, and you had 2 cords that were much longer, your other 2 are so short that you finished them off, but you still got 2 long cords. I thought this would be pretty to put down at the bottom of something.
Okay.
So she had the 2. So this will be, what does she call it? This is her leader, and this is her filler. So she goes over that and through. Now, the trick here, see how I'm not pulling this like you would a regular, if you were just tying something.
You're filling it up.
The one that I'm using as
That's the one traveling up over
this
there.
is the one that travels up this one. So I go over it like that 4, and I bring it through. Hold that other one still. Let the one that you have flipped over it, bring it up the cord. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So normally when you're tying something, you tie it so that there's an even pull to it. That's not what you're doing here.
Okay.
What you're doing is having the one that's in your right hand, for me, you're going over with that other one and just bringing it back through. This one is not going to move. This is the one that's moving up the chain.
Very cool.
So what you end up with is these really pretty bumps.
Yeah.
This is the one that I was sitting at the desk and I was like, I could just
Keep going and going.
I could just do this.
But that's why you run out of that cord, the filler
Right.
cord.
Yep. So if you notice, this one right here, this is the one that didn't move.
So that's why too.
This is the one.
So that's why too. You said it's a good end. It's a good end if you have
Say
server.
again.
I said it looks like a crochet stick.
Yes. So like here, yeah. Let's say, which one was it? See how this one, I'm going to end up, this one in theory would end up, I was like, you can't tell me that finishing off a project with just that spiral. You see what I mean? You'd have this nice bumpy little bit that finishes off all of your end pieces. I just think that
And it
this
won't be
is so
too long
pretty.
because this one does use so much of it that it'll finish pretty quickly.
Right, and the other thing is, as you're going, the same way that twisting square knot started to twist, you see how this will start to twist. I just think that's pretty.
Yeah, you try to straighten it, nope, it's not gonna sit.
Right, it's like, no.
I wanna go where I wanna go. That is very pretty.
Yeah, this is quite satisfying.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
that's pretty.
Yeah, I really like that one. And I really don't have finishing, I know, I really don't have finishing things, it just, I was like, I can only, because I don't do it, this, I learned it for this, so I don't know a lot of the finishing techniques. I'll tell you what I did notice when I was watching finishing techniques. I'm amazed that the pot doesn't fall out of the macrame hole.
Oh, yeah.
But the way there was something that they were doing that was akin to, basically what you're doing is bringing up a loop and then they were wrapping and then tuck the end in. And they would put a pot in it, and I'm like, that is gonna fall.
No, the weight tightens it.
Yes,
The weight tightens it and it sets.
yeah.
This is almost like a twist. Did yours?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it is. It's the twist and half hitch.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I said this one was very satisfying. And I thought, you know what, I gotta give them a longer piece of rope with this one, so they could just kinda,
Keep going.
yeah, I like that.
Okay, are we wrapping up? We're wrapping up?
Yes.
All right.
So ladies, I'm glad y'all came, but that's all I have. I don't have more.
More than enough.
Oh, more than enough.
Yes, it is.
So do you feel like this is something that, cause that was I told Linda, my thought was, you don't always want to go out and buy all of this stuff to try craft, even though it's something that you want to try. Well, what if you buy all of this stuff and then you know, I don't even like doing this. So I was like, this, because she said, we have to have things for the seniors. And I said, I think this would be a good one.